Hello from FreeAdvice.com. We are here to answer all of your questions, legal, insurance, you name it, we're going to answer it. But more importantly, we have the easiest to use comparison tool to get the best insurance rate for you. So all you have to do is go to FreeAdvice.com, scroll down to compare rates, start the process. It's simple, and that I mentioned, it's free. Well, today we are going to handle the topic of whether or not you should file a claim with your insurance company in the event of an auto accident or damage to your vehicle, or should you pay out of pocket? Which is the way to go? What's the point of having insurance if you don't use it? But what cases or scenarios are the types that you would not want to use your insurance for? Well, to start, we have an article on Free Advice about how insurance companies calculate car accident settlements. Now, this is obviously from the insurance, like from the standpoint of you are filing a claim. But these are good starting points to consider if you're thinking, should I even file that claim? This is what you need to consider. You need to think about the settlement factors for damaged vehicles. So is the damage to your car? Is the damage to someone else's vehicle? Settlement factors for injuries. Was anybody injured? Were you injured? Was the other person injured? Pain and suffering, which could be included in those injuries. And what are your policy limits and settlements? What does your coverage actually cover? And you might not even know yourself, which is why you should go to FreeAdvice.com and use our comparison tool. It will guide you to more information about what coverage you actually need as a driver of a vehicle. So if you're thinking about whether or not to file an insurance claim, think about how you see the process going. If you are at fault, do you think that the other person would accept your offer of paying out of pocket? Chances are no. When there's another party involved, going with insurance is going to be the safer option as far as legality and future repercussions of this accident. If it's a minor accident and you know the person personally, maybe there's some more wiggle room. If it's just damage to your own vehicle that you are responsible for, then you have some more freedom to really heavily weigh whether or not you should file a claim or just pay for the expense out of pocket. Now, the next thing to consider is your policy. What does your policy cover? And guess what? We have an article for that. This overview will give you an idea of what our terms are in policies. So if you scroll down, we've got a list of great insurance options, okay? But we want to know about what the coverage means. Liability coverage is mandatory, okay? Liability coverage is for that other person's vehicle. And so if your accident involves another person and you are legally driving, you already have liability coverage, and that should cover what the issue is. But now the next question is property damage and liability coverage, bodily injury liability coverage, personal injury protection coverage. So then you start getting into different state requirements for minimum. You might not have some of this. Some of this is required by law in some states, okay? So the real question then comes down to, so let's say that it's just your car that's involved. That's why you want to know, should I file? I'd be okay with not filing a claim because nobody else was involved. It's just me and my own vehicle. Do you have collision coverage? Collision coverage would cover your vehicle even if you backed into a wall yourself and nobody else was involved. Collision coverage is available if you have that on your policy. And then comprehensive coverage is now where you really get into the weighing the balance of, should I pay out of pocket or should I file a claim? If your car gets keyed while it's parked on the street, if you are a victim of theft or some other damage by somebody else that is gone, they're not going to turn themselves in. They're not going to help you cover the damage. If a fire happens to damage your vehicle. There, you're into the realm of comprehensive coverage because your car was not actually in motion when the damage happened, or maybe it's parked at your own house. Then you have some really deep questions to ask yourself. And we're going to get into what those questions need to be. But please go to Free Advice, go to our auto insurance tab, click on compare rates, fill in your zip code. Let's just try southeastern Minnesota. Let's see what they've got for southeastern Minnesota. You start the process. You start by putting in your vehicle's year. Now look, the most common makes are listed, but maybe you don't see your vehicle. So you go to the scroll down menu and you should be able to find, they have every make under the sun, okay? And so then that's where you would select your vehicle. They provide the names of the vehicles for you that were made that year, the models, and you just get guided through this process. Why do we need all this information? Well, because we need to tailor your insurance quotes specifically to meet your needs, and you'll get a more accurate quote. And in fact, you might qualify for some discounts. If you answer these questions accurately, you will get these quotes sent directly to you. It's great. So, what are these questions that you need to ask yourself before deciding whether or not to pay out of pocket or file a claim? First of all, how much are you looking at for cost of repairs for whatever? Or are you even going to repair your tailgate? Well, I just bring up the tailgate because that's a great example of you back your car into your own house or your own wall or a pole somewhere where nothing is actually damaged except your vehicle. Well, you might be surprised at how much it costs to replace a tailgate. On Reddit, this was posted 7 months ago. This person has a new Crosstrek, okay? And somebody else, in this case, this was an accident involving another person. The other person offered to pay out of pocket, and the person wants to know, should I take this $3,000 cash offer, or should I not be satisfied with this? But this is a good example, though, of what people would tell you how much it costs to repair. So if we scroll down, you read answer after answer after answer. Good auto body is not cheap. This all sounds fishy to me. Okay. You'd be shocked at how quickly the costs on these adds up. $3,000 very likely is not enough. Okay. Just in parts without labor and paint, $1,500. Okay. Paint, another $1,500. Doesn't leave much for labor. And so $3,000 to this person is not going to cover it. And on it goes. Everybody's saying $3,000 not going to cover it. So you have to think about yourself. Let's give the example. If you're talking about a scratch on a bumper, that might be a whole different topic. But if you're talking about significant damage, be in the mindset of in the thousands. Okay. So that's question number one. How much is this repair going to cost? And do I have that cash available on hand? Okay. The second question is, how much is your deductible? So you might be wondering, what is a deductible? Progressive has a handy little explanation for what an insurance deductible is. An insurance deductible is the out-of-pocket amount your insurance company requires you to pay when a covered incident occurs, depending on the policy type. It has to be like actually part of your policy, that like such as collision coverage if you back into a wall. You may have to pay more than one deductible if you are filing a home insurance because you like took out your home wall. You might have to file that separately from your car claim, and then you might have to pay more than one deductible there. So anyway, how do they work? An insurance premium is not a deductible. A premium is your monthly payment. You're like almost a subscription to your plan, okay? On the other hand, the deductible is the amount of money that you are responsible for paying out of pocket. So just because you file a claim doesn't mean you're off the hook for all costs. You still have to pay your deductible. And generally speaking, the lower your deductible, the higher your rate is going to be. The higher your premium is going to be. So an example, if you have a policy that has a $250 deductible, and let's say that tailgate costs $5,000 to repair, you will still need to pay that $250 before insurance will kick in and cover the remaining balance. So a lot of times you keep raising your deductible, you lower your monthly rate. So you might actually, if you look closely at your policy, you might be more like the $500 deductible. You might be closer to $1,000 deductible. This is where you need to evaluate your own policy and see if it's a $1,500 repair and I have $1,000 deductible, the risk of increasing my rates would outweigh the financial damage that would happen in the immediate future. So it might be worth paying out of pocket in that case, because Allstate answers the question, how much does insurance increase after accident? And you scroll down and it depends on severity and cost of claim. It depends on your driving record. It depends on if there's another driver at fault. So there are lots of variables. You also might have on your policy accident forgiveness, in which case it's kind of a no risk situation because your rate will be protected regardless of filing a claim after an accident, even if you're the person at fault. Okay, you can pay for that as an additional insurance on your policy. So your rate though will most likely go up after filing a claim. That's where it comes into play, where you need to weigh the benefit, cost, benefit, all of that together to figure out, should you file a claim? How much is your comfort level with financial loss immediately? Do you have the cash on hand to pay for a repair? In order, if it's makes your vehicle undrivable, you will need to get this repair settled right away. Are you prepared to handle that process? Because if you file a claim, your insurance agent takes over and helps the process go along. And they usually like to get things wrapped up pretty quickly, so they're usually right on every little detail. If you choose not to go through insurance, you need to be that person that stays on top of it, that keeps all the pieces together, that makes sure all the bills are paid. That's on you. So I hope this video is helpful. I hope it gives you an idea, a starting point at least, for whether or not you should file a claim or take advantage of the insurance policy you have. But in this process, even if you're not facing an accident or damage yourself right now, please evaluate your insurance policy, your current insurance policy, and make sure you have the coverage that meets your risk. Cheaper is great. You save money. Is it covering your needs though? Are you comfortable with the level of risk that you are set at by adopting a lower or more minimal insurance policy? Head over to FreeAdvice.com. Use our free comparison tool and make sure that that coverage is what you need and at the price you need. You might be noticing that insurance rates are going up nationwide. Very likely your policy has not been reevaluated recently, and it's time for you to get on to FreeAdvice.com and make sure that you're paying a competitive rate, that you're getting the coverage you need. If you liked this video, if this was helpful in any way, please like, share, comment. Let us know what other questions you have. Let us know if we are missing any information that you think is helpful. Let us know about your experience paying out of pocket or filing in an insurance claim. And please check out our other videos. Have a great day.